Hello, we're back. TA Monday and all that stuff. Yay.
That stuff.
And Rob is still here. Yay. Oh, you're putting on your cool glasses too.
No, smudge.
Oh, there's smudge.
Glasses will join us momentarily.
Oh, I got smudges too, but I don't care. I don't care. Anyway, yeah, we're back. TA Monday finally, and some stuff has happened. We've had the
Yeah.
point halving, which is cool, and we tried to stream that. For those, I'll give props to Rezi and Yakan who stayed. After we stopped the stream, you guys stuck around with me, and we sat and watched the countdown basically to, I think it was 20 minutes past 2 in the morning, and we were all just sitting there in the chairs like completely dead. And then when it flipped, it was completely anticlimactic. It was like, oh, it flipped.
Did it happen? And it was
Yes.
like that meme, like the cartoon shot of the meme, and it's like 11:59, New Year's Day, and it's like beep with the little little fire, and then that's it. It's like 12:01. Carry on.
So basically, I think my reaction was something like this: "Oh, it flipped." That was it.
That's all there is. I mean, that is literally.
Still, it's. Now I can say that I've watched it happen at least once, and I'm probably never going to do it again if it's late at night or whatever. But it did fall on 420 here in Sweden rather than 419, so that's cool.
So we were saying it was kind of ironic that the one place in the world that it didn't fall on 420 is the only place that matters. Yeah, it was. And apparently, according to Pomp, that was Satoshi's fault.
Yeah. What the heck did he write? Oh no, I don't have that. Do you have that saved somewhere?
No, I don't put that.
We'll give everybody a real quick rundown on that. So Anthony Pompliano. Oh wait, I actually said his name right for once. Yeah. I've always had trouble saying that, but okay.
Just say Pomp.
Yeah, just Pomp. So Anthony Pompliano, he tweeted something about how Satoshi Nakamoto missed out on an opportunity to plan for the halving to occur on 420. And our reaction was just kind of like, really? Yeah, that you can't plan which date it is because Bitcoin, the blocks, it's an amount of blocks that need to be mined, and they take different amounts of time, so you can't know exactly. That's why you have the countdown, right? To estimate.
When's the next halving? 2028. Oh, when? 2028.
2028, somewhere around Q1.
It's like when? It's like, I don't know, 210 blocks, 210,000 blocks time. Oh.
Yeah, it's almost as dumb as asking when moon.
When moon.
Yeah, when moon. Either way.
Moon.
Yeah, I don't know.
Let's get into it. When moon.
Yeah. Now we're going to tell you exactly when moon. Please hold. No, so...
While we work it out, because we've got no idea.
We have no clue. We're going to try to work it out here, though. We're finally back looking at the daily charts. Yay. We haven't been doing that for a couple of weeks now. So, obviously, daily charts and Bollinger Bands are back, which is something we haven't really cared much about because I tend to just look at that on the daily and maybe the 4-hourly. But we're testing the midline again for the first time in like 2 weeks. And this time it's from a point of where we've had an actual downtrend on the Bollinger Bands right here from this, and now we're testing to break above it again. And if things goes the way we want, obviously we're going to break out of that. Actually, I'm not sure if that's something you want, Rob. Maybe you want to take a big dip in a bigger position. I don't know, but
I don't know. I mean, it's the last drop annoyed me massively after stopping me out, and then I took some profit at a good place and then missed my re-entry, but nah, shit happens.
Yes, it does happen.
And it happens a lot with volatile assets, so yeah, deal with it.
I messed up too, so
I'm not
I had a position on Solana at 126, and then I closed it at just a little bit of profit, and then I missed the re-entry as well.
So I saw the drop, and I was 8x long with a big chunk of my sol at 121.
Yeah.
And I closed it. And I even thought, and I looked at it and went, this is a really good position that I should keep open for months. And
you were
2 days
bragging
later, I closed it.
about it.
I mean, I did really well off it. I mean, I rode it up to like 140 something. So like,
oh yeah, it's still a good.
Good.
You didn't lose anything. You took profits, man. It's you can't do it perfectly all the time. Still big oof. Yes, I would.
So
agree.
to answer your question,
what was the question?
Do I think we're going to have another drop down?
Yes. Do you think we're going to fail this daily or no?
I'm going to give the typical technical analyst's answer. If it doesn't go up from here, then yeah, it's going to go down from here. No, this is a midline. We're not at any particular number or price or value, so I'm not looking at this and going, yes, this is where we're going to peak because Bollinger midline. I mean, you can look at this here. We've not respected the midline. We've respected it on a few wicks, but we've broken up, down so many times. I'm not looking at this and going, oh my god, let's sell.
No, exactly. I mean, what I tend to look at when it comes to the Bollingers, you can see this pattern right here, come down, come back up, and then go. We could get potentially something similar there. But that usually happens after something like this, which is exactly what we've actually had. So that's why I'm kind of looking at it now and thinking, yeah, maybe would be nice. But I mean, that's one indicator. So
I think we could do with looking at the RSI there. It's it's bottomed, but it ain't reversed. That's still a downtrend in RSI with a downtrending price, and so
Well, it's trying to break out of that.
Let's see. Well, we also need to see the daily candle close on this, and
precisely.
And also, I don't follow RSI trends to the line. We know it's plus or minus 5 points is pretty reasonable, I think. So it's more the general pattern. The moving average of the RSI is still pointing downwards. So it's not an RSI uptrend in any form. So patience. Don't I think this is one of those moments where you look at it and you look at the volatility here. It's very unlikely, not impossible, that we just have a vertical line straight up. If we do, if you have your positions, if you're along from here, if you bought the dip, you just hold, you just wait. And I think from here you can see that sort of bottoming pattern. It might take another month. Yes, there might be another leg back down to 60k. If we are, then great, because you've got another paycheck to buy something at a cheap price.
Precisely.
And that's kind of it, really. I've done my buying at this level. I bought 61, 63. I did some good profits on futures. I then took some loss on futures. I'm now looking at it going, trend's starting to go, but I'm not in a rush. So right now I'm just looking and going, I'm in a long. I'm not looking to really get overextended at this point. I'd like to see, even if we get a rally, let's see us hit 70k and come back down and have another go, because 70k and then back down to 64 is very reasonable at this point. We've seen that level of volatility, so we shouldn't be surprised. And it's just hold on right now. I think the daily doesn't show it very well, so maybe if we zoom in a bit,
I was going to get to,
but you get to it.
I get so I'm just checking at this, this area and this consolidation. These two, they're fairly similar in terms of what the RSI has done. From coming down, and then breaking the trend, and then going. And we got kind of the same thing here, pretty much almost the same level where it bounced in the middle of nowhere, basically. People tend to want to say that we want to bounce, on oversold on the RSI on the daily, but in these exponential trends like this, we haven't done that historically in this trend. At least we've only had this one. So if it stays with this type of pattern on the RSI, for example, then this is it's following the previous pattern, at least from this exponential move. So for me, I'm like, okay, I want to see this close this daily above the Bollinger, and if it does, then we have broken that trend, like we did here. I'm not going to say it's going to go like this, but maybe that's what it's been doing. It's just kind of cooling down, like we talked about, moved up, and then wants to go higher. We'll have to wait and see. But what I did do, though, is I'm going to remove these lines now so I don't forget. I'm going to go to the 4-hourly. And you can see on the Bollinger here on the 4-hourly, we've actually, in the uptrends, we've played on the 4-hourly fairly well, or at least here. And then obviously that was kind of an anomaly, but we've been playing on the 4-hourly pretty well here so far. And if I remove the Bollinger here and put the super trend in, which is something that I tend to use sometimes, we are about to break that now. Hopefully, if it closes above here, that's a bullish sign at least, which could give us enough momentum to kind of push through that daily Bollinger midline and continue on through that RSI daily break. And so, obviously, it doesn't mean that it can just go green for a couple of hours and then fall again. But historically, on the 4-hourly, we've had at least a fair chunk of green, even though it's been flat here and here. Maybe we go up and get green and then we get stuck under 69 and then fall again, right? Maybe we get an upside down Bart or something like that.
A hanging Batman.
Yeah, hanging Batman. But yeah, the RSI on the 4-hourly is getting to the point where it's starting to get kind of overextended, but it's still got ways to go, though.
And this is kind of a point to consider. Timeframes is the 4 hours getting overextended. Meanwhile, the daily's still in a downtrend. So when you see this, look at this 4-hour hourly. When we start to see reversals in the trend of the 4-hour, say RSI, then you can see that corresponds to drops in price. At that point, that's where you're looking for the buy signals based on your daily. Okay, based on the daily, what's my price range that we think it's going to come down to?
Yep.
And so zoom all the way in, but zoom all the way out. And
you got to look at all the time frames, really. But I mean, I love how the super trend has played really well in this exponential move up here. It's like perfectly bounced on it many times. And that's obviously the green that we want, not just this boring stuff. But I think, like we said, like it has to do with how far down the RSI on the daily has gone, for example, and how much the longer time frame stuff has reset for the shorter time frame stuff to kind of go like this and just hold that trend for a long time. And so maybe we should start that here. We start and then we have to correct for a while, let the RSI come down on the 4-hourly, and it might be bouncing on the green trend, super trend, but then it continues up because everything else has time to reset. Like the super trend can it's a trend. It's a trend. It's a confirmation of trend, and then it can hold that trend even though everything else resets, because it needs to move a fair chunk to break that trend again. And so, if we go green on the super trend on the 4-hourly, I'll be very bullish, because that probably means we're going to get above the Bollinger middle band and break the RSI trend on the daily. So,
although if we are looking at the super trend, I'll go back to the previous time frame.
Sorry about that.
Look at the last 3 flips. If you obviously if you the last 2
over
flips, that we are still in fake out territory. So
for sure,
let's just be wary of that. And these drops, the drops on the 4-hour here have been very hefty, and so that's kept my strategy. Not that I have much cash available left on my strategy now, because I've bought it all at spot. But it's kept my strategy very nicely in cash because these drops have just been keeping everything hella bearish. So I think, Invest Answers just given a thing. Mr. 100 just sold 1,000 Bitcoin.
Damn.
That's 66,100.
Oh, that means it's going to zero, guys. Give up.
It's over. Mr. 100's selling. The guy that was buying at 70k has just sold at 66, and it's over.
No.
Yeah.
Well, he's been accumulating for a while, so he probably just took some profits there, which makes sense.
I don't think it's taking profits because I'm going to assume that Mr. 100 will continue to accumulate.
Yeah.
But my guess is that was very similar to when Tesla, they bought the Bitcoin and then they sold 10% of it, and the market all absolutely shat itself, and they were just like, yeah, we were just testing the liquidity. We were proving to the market, to ourselves, to the entire world that yes, at a moment's notice we can sell 10% of our Bitcoin, and no, it's not going to send the market to zero.
Yep.
So probably this is a very similar thing. It's expected. Mr. 100 is, for those who don't know, Mr. 100 is somebody who has been religiously buying 100 Bitcoin at a time, and
several times a day, sometimes.
Yeah.
I think the wallet has 60,000 Bitcoin in it or something like that now. No.
And they've just sold 1,000. Big whoop.
Big whoop.
Yeah. I genuinely, I would just assume that this is most likely some sort of government entity or commercial entity. That potentially somebody in Saudi Arabia or Qatar or one of those Arab
could
countries.
Be an Asian wallet too. I think it was talk about it being like a what was it, South Korean wallet or something like that? Potentially, yeah, but we don't know.
Yeah, whoever it is kind of irrelevant.
Yeah.
Yes, most likely someone just said, you've been buying 60,000 of these bastard things. What happens when it comes to sell it? And they went, here, I'll show you.
Yeah.
Nothing. What happens is we get 1,000 Bitcoins worth of Tether, and then we go to Tether and we go, can you give me these dollars? That's what happens. End of.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
And you can't hold it against someone either, because I think that wallet has been accumulating for like a year or so, give or take. And so the cost basis of that wallet is probably low, right?
Low, yeah.
And so then saying, all right, I'm going to take some profit here. And okay, I don't think that's what it is, but it's like, even if it was that, it's like, yeah, why not?
Well, then maybe, let's say this is somebody who, I would assume that anybody with the power to purchase 60,000 Bitcoin in a year probably knows something about the economy that we don't.
Yeah, and probably doesn't need to take profit either.
Well, he doesn't need to, but these are the sorts of things that you watch, is that, maybe somebody who's accumulated a massive amount over a year, if they suddenly start selling 1,000 a day, maybe this is maybe this is it. Up at, in the 70Ks, this was a short-term top, and we are heading for a deeper and gnarlier correction, and somebody who's got very good inside information is selling the news that hasn't come out yet.
Yeah.
Not saying that's it, but that's the sort of thing where you can see this behavior when the whales, the people who accumulate at certain times, when they start to sell. And so, when somebody who's bought 60,000 Bitcoin in a year starts to sell, you pay attention. You don't worry, because there's 100 reasons why they might want to sell a little bit of what they have. But it's worth paying attention to.
Yes, for sure. I don't think it's. I mean, maybe they're looking at the same TA we are, and they're saying, I'm going to remove 1,000 from here. When did you say it was sold? What price?
66.1.
So essentially just before it hit the ball in your band. Okay. So $500 before that. But obviously they sold and the price is still up. So
exactly. So
nobody cares.
That is it. You can sell 1,000 Bitcoin and nothing happens.
And nothing happens. I don't even know how much. I know that the if we're gonna talk about some order books for once.
Yeah. So yeah, just for context,
Okay.
Mr. 100 has accumulated a net positive 2,326 Bitcoin over the past week and 7,121 over the past month. So yeah, they are not net sellers. So
no, definitely not.
Yeah. So I'm sticking with it. It's likely whatever this entity is this is a liquidity test to prove that yes, you can dump 1,000 Bitcoin.
Yes. Okay. Do we feel like we're done with Bitcoin? Because I can jump over to Solana for a second.
Go for it.
We got about the same thing going on with Solana in terms of the Bollingers. This is the daily. Obviously, the dip on Solana was just slightly bigger than on Bitcoin.
A little bit.
Yeah, so Solana has actually moved. I think it topped out here at 210, and then it went as far down as 119 on Binance, and that's a 43% drop. And yes, hopefully some of you guys bought some there if you wanted to accumulate more Solana. I know like I said, I opened a position at 126, which is just above this wick, so it's right here on that line right there, and then I closed it prematurely.
Yeah,
because I got scared. No, I didn't. No, but I basically took the profits up here somewhere at 143, I think. Fair game, decent profit.
Yeah, exactly.
Percentage terms. Yes. Obviously, I should have bought back in, but I didn't. And so that's that. But Solana is looking pretty much the same as Bitcoin in terms of the Bollingers, and the RSI is actually during this wick down here. We the liquidation wick. The RSI was oversold, but it didn't close oversold on the RSI. And it did actually break through this trend line as well, but then acted like it was not even there. So I'm not sure why that is, but yeah, Solana's just doesn't care about this trend line at this point, which means it's probably playing more on the fib levels, which is this gray line right here. So
yeah, well, I mean, if say maybe if you zoom in a little bit, you can see if it's just to me it looks very much there as in time frame.
Oh, you meant time frame? Yeah. Sure, 4 hours. So
as in, you can see pretty clearly that it is still respecting that trend line. I've still got that trend line drawn, and you can see we dropped under it, used it as resistance, and now we've climbed up against it and used it as support again. So
sure, yeah, you're right about that for sure.
It is still playing that trend line, and so I think it's still fairly valid to keep on for now. However, it is now significantly weaker, having broken it once already. So if it breaks again, we shouldn't expect it to hold.
Yeah, no, I'm a fair bit surprised that the $136.5 line wasn't respected more than it was, because that's a very significant one. But instead, it kind of bounced on the fibs here, which is very long-term fib. I'll zoom out for this one. So it's from peak to bottom basically, and it respected that more than the support line, which kind of surprised me a little bit. I'm not gonna lie, but hey, that's cool too. As long as it doesn't keep going down, I'm happy. So, but yes, so the 4 hourly on the Bollingers for Solana is actually it's playing on that too. It has been for the last couple of days, which is good. So it's trending upwards instead of trending downwards, which is nice. We can have a look at the super trend as well. I'm not sure if it's broken it, but I'm pretty sure it has. Yes, it has. Actually, it did this morning at 5 a.m. So that's good. And we'll see. It kind of comes down to Bitcoin, to be honest, as it always does. And I think if Bitcoin kind of fails this, this Bollinger test that it's doing on the daily right now, and breaking out of that RSI downtrend, if it fails that, I'm confident that everything else is just going to follow along on the way back down. Maybe it wants to double bottom on the daily or something like that. That would make sense too. Actually, I'll have to look at that now and see what that looks like. But what would that look like? Yeah, it would look like one of those kind of down there, but
yeah, I'm not seeing it. I'm
yeah.
in camp uptrend now.
Yes, yeah, same.
My overall feeling is yes, that was a quite convincing, quite good liquidity grab. How many people, this is always the thing, when people are talking about 90, 100k tops at 70k, then it's probably a top. When they're talking about 47, 43, and it's 60k, it's probably a bottom. And yeah, I think that's we did warn of it. It was very reasonable that we came all the way down and touched that yellow uptrend there. Would have been something around 54, 55, and yeah, that would have been fine.
Yeah,
like
no, exactly, and
that wouldn't have been a big deal. So
yeah, and I mean, we've measured the downtrends and the corrections throughout the entire pre-bull and exponential bull that we've had, and it's all been about 20%, and this one is 19.35, and that's after ETFs basically came along and started chugging upwards, and that means it looks like, even though it's an exponential trend, the corrections are less severe. If this is the end, obviously we can still go down, but it looks like the constant bid that we're getting from all the ETFs and from all the bullishness in the market overall. The only reasons to where the only time we go down is when we get liquidations, and we get these big wicking candles. As you can see here, it's all over the place. Especially here in the last dump, we've had a big severe one where it's just been wick all over the place. Especially this one here, the day before the halving, massive lower wick, right? And not that matters that much. It just depends on when the liquidation happens, basically.
Yeah. But the
still,
strength is in the fact that closed a green candle. And
yes, precisely.
Yeah, that to me, that really was the bottom signal. Not only did we break down, we forced everyone in. There was a lot of volume, complete and total. Like everything that looked like a bottom was showing. Look, here it is, bottom. And then we started to pull back, and then bang, all the way back down. Like, that is not normal behavior. And the fact that we then came all the way back down and then pumped all the way back up, that's your liquidity grab. That's the hint that the market is done at this level.
Yeah, and it's done it after we had bottom. The next day we pumped, liquidity grab, ended green, and then we have 3 days of green after that. That's a good sign, which is why I think we're both kind of looking at this bowling test that we're talking about right now, and the RSI downtrend break. It looks like it wants to do it. It makes sense that it will do it. We obviously can't promise anything, and I will wait for tomorrow before I say trend broken, because it's not until it's actually broken.
Yeah.
But that would make me happy, hopeful. And I know exactly what I'm going to do. I'm going to wait. I have a pretty sizable Bitcoin long. It's a 5x even, and I'm waiting for us to break basically this super trend with a daily candle, and then I might, in the retest somewhere, add to that position or close the position. I want to hold it to 98k personally. Maybe that's dumb, but hey,
good luck.
Thank you. I'll do my best. No, but I'm gonna be moving my stop loss for every time we slow down. Gives us a new, on the daily or in the 4-hourly, maybe I'll put my stop loss there once it starts going up again, and I'll just keep moving that. And then obviously when we start getting very green on the RSI again, I'm going to say, hey, we are kind of overextended. And you know what? I just thought of this. I noticed that our own, this is made by Rob, obviously, because he's the smart person between the two of us.
Shut the fuck up.
So here's our bullishness index. And we took note of this. So if you compare our bullishness index right here You can treat it almost like an RSI, maybe. Hold on, let me just fix we need to fix this, Rob. We need to make this into a line and not a step line.
Okay.
As a default.
That's easy.
It looks nicer. I don't know.
Yeah, cool. That's fine.
But our bullishness index here, if you look at where the peak was right here on Bitcoin.
Oh, that's nice.
I'm going to pull this one over. That's the peak right there. And that's where we kind of peak out on our bullishness index. But it's also where the RSI kind of breaks down after a bearish divergence here. And so this caught the top a little bit better. And you know, when you get too oversold in RSI and you start seeing these turnover, a lot of people will sell here because they think, okay, that's the top, and that would be right here, which is very much prematurely compared to the bullishness index. And I also noticed that it actually does this quite often. So if I move this to this peak instead, it's a little bit premature if you look at this one. But it is still...
But look at the next bottom.
Yes, look at the next bottom. There is, once this uptrend starts, we're right there. So that looks pretty good.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, this, you know, if you compare just the RSI, like the RSI got oversold here and people started freaking out. You would have sold here if you went for that, obviously. Not saying you definitely would, but a lot of people would. Meanwhile, the bullishness index kind of told you to get out right here, which is a pretty significant difference. I'm just going to make a general measurement here and say that's 27% more profits, and I'm going to, for fun, just do it. That's when it turns, and that would be a 40% better hit. So yay, Rob. Props to Mr. Rob for
literally
very cool indicator.
While we're here on stream, I've realized how I can make it better.
Oh, good. Okay, good. So we're gonna improve that before we publish these. And yes, everybody, I know. Sorry, it's taking a while. We've encountered some problems when converting some code, but we are thinking about, if we get, it's only 2 of the indicators, 2 of the strategies.
So we're gonna get them out.
So we can still, if we don't manage to finish those this week, we will publish the other stuff. We wanted to publish everything as a pack, but if we can't get them out because of some issues, then we'll drop everything else instead, and then we'll just do the other ones as soon as we can. And that would be, I think, let's see, the bullishness index. Which ones is it? It's the bullishness index, the bear bottom hunter, the dollar cost average strategy, pi cycle top, the swing trade strategy would all come out. And if we're lucky, Felipe might be able to finish up our multi-tool, which would bring you 6 indicators in one, so you don't have to pay for TradingView. Yes. So you'll pay for Patreon instead, hopefully.
Yeah.
Yes, and that's that. And I know, Rob, you wanted to talk about some funding rates, because currently my long position, for the first time in forever, I'm getting paid to have my long open, which is yay, because now I'm back to 0 profit and loss in my fees, which is nice. That's haven't happened in a long time.
Yeah.
So
it's good.
It is good.
I think yeah. So in terms of the big question, are we going to come down, have another retest of the lows, or are we going to start just charting higher and higher and higher and something gets silly? My current thoughts are very 50-50. This is one of those rare occasions where I'm not really ready to make a call, because the main metric that I'm looking for is funding rates, and right now they're pretty neutral. When the price drops, they go negative. When the price comes up, they go positive. That's currently we mentioned a couple of weeks ago, or a week ago or so, whenever it was, that we had just started to get consistent negative funding rates for a couple of days, and we would want to see those funding rates stay negative as the price went up. We pumped, and immediately funding rates started going higher. So right away, that's telling you that the market is not bearish. The market is trying to long. The market is looking for it, and if they're opening up longs, the market's going to squeeze them. and they're going to squeeze them and squeeze them and squeeze them until they go, right, I've had enough of this. I'm going to stop getting long squeezed. I'm going to start shorting. I'm going to join what the trend's doing, and they do that right at the bottom of the trend. So then the price, as it's currently doing, starts trending upwards, and exactly the same way as if you buy and the price drops and you would find yourself in a hole and you have to make a decision, they find themselves in a loss, but because the price is higher. And then they have a decision to make. Do they double down, or do they add more leverage, or do they add more collateral into a position that, let's face it, if they are crypto holders, if they're Bitcoiners, they don't think it's going to go down long term either. So, we don't have to be ultra bearish to start squeezing up, because people can get spooked out of the fact because they look at it and they go, oh crap, I'm in a short and Bitcoin's at 66,500, and they don't see it coming back and revisiting. So they'll close their positions. As they close their shorts, what do? They add to the long pressure, the buying pressure. So while we're in an uptrend, these short positions who are now underwater, they're getting more underwater, and they either had to deepen their positions and hope that we get a drop, or they continue to get squeezed out. So what I want to see now is a period of this uptrend that we've got, and I am starting to see it, where we've got negative funding rates after what have we had now? We've had getting on for 5 days of uptrend now, or 4 days of uptrend overall, and we have negative funding rates, or neutral. That's good. I want to see them negative. I want to see the price getting higher. I want to see 70,000 and at the very least neutral to slightly negative funding rates, and at that point I'll be like, this is going to squeeze. Ideally, I want to see like really negative funding rates, and then it's like, okay, now you start gig along in, because it's giving you a clear sign this is going to squeeze up, especially when it breaks all-time high. Because you have to remember, if something breaks all-time high, every single shorter is now in a loss. Every single one. It's impossible to hold the short in profit when you've just broken all-time high. So that's why we see such big moves, and people say, well, as soon as it breaks the all-time high, buy. Because when that happens, there tends to be a chunky move up, because shorts get screwed.
I'm sorry, I'm just looking at on CoinGlass right now. Please tell me if I'm seeing this wrong, but we got 1.3 billion in shorts that can be liquidated, and we have 12 million.
No, 12 million. 12 million.
Right.
With a value of.
You're right. Yeah. So we've much more longs being stacked than we have shorts.
We always have more longs than shorts.
Yes, I would assume.
This is a bullish market. People are always going to long it. So again, don't be worried, because like me, for example, I've explained many times now, in an ideal world, I have my chunk of cash, which is trading on my trading bot, and then I have my futures position, and I essentially use my trading bot cash to collateralize my futures position.
Right.
So if anything goes wrong, so because of that, at that time I can hold a 1x 2x short, and I've done it where I've held it 20% down, and I'm not really bothered, because okay, I've got some cash to pay for it if it goes really wrong and if I need to get out. But if I'm holding a low leverage position, I can hold that long for months. And say I'd got into, that Solana position I was in at $121, I could hold that position now indefinitely, and I could continue to add leverage to that position, and it still wouldn't be at risk of liquidation. So the reason why you can only have so much short open interest is, as you get closer to the all-time high, your shorts get wrecked. So it's normal to have more long than short. It's a case of, and it's not so much how much leverage there is in the system, it's how responsible those leverage holders are. Somebody who's 2x leveraged after a 20-25% drop or a 40% drop in Solana, buying into an uptrend, setting stop losses, and then watching it ride up, exactly what I should have done, that person is now not at risk, but they're holding leverage. So it's not something to worry about, but it is something to be wary of, because maybe if you put that chart back up, the CoinGlass one.
Yes. Hold on, let me just get on that screen first because I just pulled the fib level just to double check something.
Yeah,
there we go.
So you look at the current price and you see all those liquidations are the short liquidations are a lot closer to the current price than the long liquidations, and so that's where the risk currently is. The long liquidations are kind of protected by a couple of thousand dollars. They've got 65k there, whereas the shorts at 67, they're going to start hitting. So if we see 66.8 or something there,
66.8, we're going to start seeing short liquidations.
Exactly. So if that price comes, it's probably going to go higher, and it may well carry on up until it clears those liquidations up till about 67.5. It's not a huge move. It's not anything absolutely gigantic, but now that we've got a lot of volatility and we've had it for a month, people are scared. People are wary. I know, me personally, I've lowered my leverage because I was kind of opening up. I tend to set my leverage and then I just open up a percentage of my position. So it's like, okay, I'll open 10% here, 10% here. And I actually didn't realize with Solana that from the bottom I'd kept my leverage at 5x rather than my normal 2x. So I looked at it and was like, oh shit, that position's a bit big, and oh shit, it's in a loss, and and that makes me very uncomfortable because I like to have cash when I trade like a moron. And I do trade like a moron. I promise you, I trade like a moron. But that's why I have cash.
Yes, but you can, if you know what you're doing in the big picture, you can mess around with stuff. And I wouldn't recommend that for anyone who doesn't really do this a lot. But I wouldn't even recommend it for myself because I don't have the time to mess around. But I did pull
See, that's
level just here.
Just say
real
quickly,
quick, if that's okay.
Yeah, I don't have the time to mess around either, which is why I just eyeball the charts and go, that looks like a bottom. Bye.
And Imre is right. He says just 1x, and it's like,
just 1x.
That's fine. That's just a position, right?
Here's a really, really simple piece of logic just before you get to your point there, Phil. If you cannot make money trading spot, you will never make money leverage trading.
Precisely.
Ever. You might make short-term profit leverage trading, but if you are unable to just take some cash, open positions, go back to cash, open a new position, build a system, and turn that cash into more cash over a extended period of time, you're certainly not ready to be gambling with what's not your money.
Yeah. No, it's you're right. And doing 1x is obviously that's just holding the asset, right? We keep saying this to everybody who is newer or doesn't have the time or maybe you don't want to be a trader. Maybe you just want to invest. That's an investor is a 1x holder, right? Or a 1x trader for long term. And 1x in crypto is like 10x in stocks. It's about the same payout, right? So it literally is. I mean, but either way, I'm just gonna hop right on here for just a second. Everybody knows I love my fib levels, and it just so happens that from our peak to the absolute bottom here with the wicks and everything, the Bollinger is kind of sitting on this fib at 66,360, the 0.5 fib level. And if we do break this and we do crack through the Bollinger and everything, if we go far enough through it, just like Rob said, we're going to start seeing those liquidations, which means the candle will grow bigger, and then we'll have to kind of aim for the golden pocket right here, first of all. But if I then move this fib level just down to where we started our big liquidation period here, which is something that I did before because it lined up really nicely on the 1 hourly, we are currently fighting the golden pocket, which could explain some of the fight that's going on here, not only just the Bollinger. So there is two fib levels confluencing on top of this as well, which could be a thing. I don't know how many people have pulled these fibs. I know fibs are popular and that people do use them quite a bit, but
for starters, the 6.5 is not a fib, it's just a number. But
no, the golden pocket is what it's called. It tends to kind of hit when it goes there. It almost always moves to the other side, essentially. And if it does break, it's super bullish. And
generally,
that's just a range that people like.
I would have pulled it from the top either way. Like,
yeah, me too. Absolutely.
On that sense, broken it.
The reason to why I had this right here was because when I was trading this on the 1 hourly, I took it just from the start of the liquidation period itself, and then it ended up right there. So I kind of played that. As you can see, it kind of played through those fibs pretty nicely up here and here. So that's why I had that pulled. So it kind of works in that sense. But again, we're bullish. I'm bullish. I might be super wrong, but we have to wait and see what happens tomorrow. Really, that's all we can really say. And that's all I'm gonna say.
Basically.
Yeah, basically. I did see though that I looked at all the assets that I like, that I have positions in my long-term bag, and Render is the only one who's so far broken the daily Bollinger. So we'll see where that goes. And they did that 3 days ago or 2 days ago. So
I bought a bit of a chunk, which is currently about 15-20% down. But
for now.
It's just annoying to have not got a better price, but it was a decent chunk off, so meh. But I was thinking about it. I was looking at it going, should I sell this spot bag and just 3x leverage this bitch? And I probably should have, but yeah.
3x is. I tend to go 5x when I go leverage, because I'm dumb. But 3x is looking pretty juicy anyway, because it's just greed going 5x instead of 3, really.
It is, because a 20% drop will liquidate you, and that means that just that notion, 5x means 20% drop, you're liquidated. So that means
unless you can protect the position, obviously.
In which case, by my reckoning, if that's the case, then you're not 5x. You're open to 5x position, but you're not actually 5x leverage. You've got backing. In the same way that I would say, when I'm trading futures, if I've got bot cash, I don't really consider myself trading leverage. I just consider myself I'm just trading with my capital twice, but I still have that capital. But if you're 5x leverage, a 20% drop will wipe you out. That means a 10% drop will be a 50% loss. Yeah. How many times in crypto have you seen something say minus 10% on it? Tell me it's not 20, 30, 40, 50 times.
Precisely.
So that is it. As in the at 5x, the possibility of you blowing your entire stack is there, but even off relatively small swings, just a liquidation, you've missed something and Bitcoin just decides it's going to do some news at 5x, you get absolutely ruined. And even if you set a stop loss, that's it. You have to trade almost day trade if you're trading 5x, because the swings are so small that you have to move your stop up, you have to manage your position. You can't afford to just go to sleep and see you later. Yeah. Now, if you've got a 2x position, and
no problem.
Especially if you've got money down the line that you can afford to back it up with. But it is just greed. And I will do it occasionally, but I've seen liquidations happen God knows how many times, and I'm always looking for the same thing. Okay, there's the liquidation. Okay, let's see it turn. Okay, there's the pump up. Okay, let's see it come down. Let's see it hold that level. I don't want to see a lot of volume. Right, there's no volume. It's coming around. It's break. Go 2x. Then it's coming. It's breaking up. 2x.
But that's like one of those things where you can only do that with a lot of experience. And
exactly.
I think the reason, if I remember correctly, the reason to why I went to 5x was because I knew. So my thinking was, when Bitcoin has its drops, because I'm only doing it on Bitcoin nowadays. I was doing it on Solana as well before, but I opted for just Bitcoin with coin margin futures. Now I do coin margins. Didn't do back then, but my thinking was Bitcoin, when it has the big corrections, is about 20%, 21%, which means 5x I would get liquidated, right? But I thought, why don't I double down just before the liquidation happens? And that's usually where it tends to bounce if I get, if we have a big drop from the top. So I would get in and I would put a big buy order after the 20% drop, which would be well before my liquidation, hopefully. But I would double down there. And then if it gets close to the liquidation, I would have a chunk left to protect it. And that's just how I do it. I just like that. And obviously, I'm not looking to buy before I think there's a bottom, obviously. I would try to get in when there is a bottom somewhere that I think has a bottom, so it would just turn right away. But if it doesn't, then at least I think, from top to bottom, 20% drop, okay, that's where they get liquidated. If I buy the top, which I usually don't. But you see, that was kind of the thinking that I had around the 5x thing. And it worked out pretty well for me with the 5x so far. I mean, this position is kind of but core basis is 65.2, I think. So, decent.
Decent.
Decent, yeah. But we had a question from Dave, by the way, like ages ago, and I saved it. So here it is. Dave's saying, when can markets stabilize? I mean, can this be considered a non-volatile asset if that is a thing? Short answer, no. And then you added to the question, I think, and I don't mean time frame, I mean what needs to happen for that to be considered. I think you're talking kind of about so Bitcoin is currently a risk asset. I think that's kind of the question you're trying to ask. Because volatility, everything has volatility. It just has different, amounts of volatility. But risk assets are another thing. And I think that's probably what you're looking for. And it comes down to personal preference, really. What is risk to an individual? But for the overall market, risk means volatility. Essentially. So it's kind of one of those, you could go to your bank person and say, hey, I want to invest in stuff. And they say, oh, we can invest. And this is something my mom has to deal with all the time from her bank person. And they say, oh, this is low risk and this is high risk. And she's like, okay, risk in her head means risk, I lose all my money. But risk in the financial world means volatility. High risk means high volatility. It doesn't mean you're going to lose your money, especially not if you're holding spot because you can't get liquidated. But I think your real question is when can Bitcoin become like a very mainstream standard thing where people just buy it like it was gold, sort of thing, which would make it less volatile, and more stable. I don't know if it can ever be that, to be honest, because it's got absolute scarcity, which means it's always going to have volatile moves upwards and probably downwards too, because if it moves really fast up, the order book won't be able to fill it if people start taking big profits towards the big top, and liquidations will always happen. But that's the way I look at it, sort of. I don't know if Rob has what your thinking is around that, but
it will always be volatile if we think it's always going to go up in price. So if your price target for Bitcoin is infinity dollars, which if you think the dollar is tending towards zero, then it is, then you have to go, okay, right, so where does the volatility stop? Let's pick a price and go, okay, let's say it's $100 trillion asset class. And at that point, 100 trillion, that's 100x from here, roughly. What are we, 1.2 trillion? Okay, so let's go
with 90x or something.
Yeah, 130 trillion asset class. So that would be, we'll call it $7 million a coin. So at that point, you've got the real estate market, which is something like $2 quadrillion. You've got the current treasury market, which is into the hundreds of trillions of dollars. You've got commercial bonds. You've got automotive loans. They're all in the trillions. You've got all of the foreign debt in the world. All of that. That's currently sitting around in the quadrillions of dollars. So let's 100x Bitcoin, and let's put it at 100 trillion. it's still not. It's incredibly large. At that point, it's a huge asset class, but it's one of the huge asset classes in the world. It's not huger than all of them. So $7 million per Bitcoin puts it at something like the same level of market cap as the entire global government national debt today. What's that debt going to be in 30 years' time, 40 years' time, 50 years' time? The timeline where we may actually be looking at Bitcoin being $7 million. Well, it'll be a lot larger. So in that case, Bitcoin will be really small. Well, Bitcoin's really small in that sense, and the debts continue to get larger, and the debts continue to get less sturdy and less trustworthy. Well, then the adoption of Bitcoin will be faster, won't it? And the money printing is not going to stop, right? So at 7 million, you're looking at it going, what else do I want to hold? This is cheap. Exactly. So volatility will drop when Bitcoin is such a size that the daily inflows and outflows are a very, very small amount of its liquid supply. And you have to bear in mind with Bitcoin, there's only something like 2 million-ish or so available on exchanges, which is around 10% of the supply. So the actual liquid supply of Bitcoin is around 200 billion. Now, I got some Bitcoin on the exchange. I ain't selling it. So of those 2 million, mine's not for sale. Is yours for sale, Phil?
No.
So much of that.
I'll sell my Bitcoin if you buy it at 100% premium.
So right, exactly. So
now
at this point, of those 2 million Bitcoin, how many are tradable at this price? I would say definitely less than half, probably, because a lot of people prefer to keep their coins on exchanges, and I don't blame them. Self-custody is a bitch, and if you don't trust, quite frankly, if Binance goes down, then we're all screwed anyway. So if you have a lot of supply that's supposedly liquid but not actually available to sell, then what's the actual, what you could call circulating market cap of Bitcoin? It may be something like 100 billion or 80 billion. And if you start putting in $1 billion, literally we're only talking $1 billion or dollars or so of inflows per month from say the ETFs, which is incredibly reasonable, then yeah, you're talking about 1% or so per month of the liquid supply actually going into pumping the price up, because it's only really the orders on the exchanges that contribute to what the price is. If I've got Bitcoin and that's not sat in orders and it's sat on the exchange just doing nothing, it might as well be in cold storage for accounting purposes. So yeah, this asset class is absolutely tiny, and it has to be at a price where it's considered tradable. And so let's say that's 5 million or 10 million per coin. At that point, there would be multiple holders who would be willing to dispose of their Bitcoin permanently because they'd have so much goddamn Bitcoin that they'd want something else. Like the monetary value of their Bitcoin would be essentially, Michael Saylor at some point, will he sell his Bitcoin? Probably not, because he'll just borrow against it. But if there's at some point, not everyone's Michael Saylor, and at some point they may have 2,000, 5,000 Bitcoin and go, yeah, you know what? I'm going to start offloading 20% of these, and I'm going to go and buy myself a mansion and a super yacht, because you know what? I've held this asset class for 30 years. I'm a multi-millionaire. It's time I moved out of my mum's basement. So off I go. Let's go and buy myself
leverage trading Bitcoin and start living outside.
Let's go buy myself a yacht and some hoes.
Yeah. Okay, so I just had a quick look here on.
Sorry. So I just want to let me just point something out. If you just want to put my screen on for a second.
I can't, because you're not sharing it, sir.
What? I was sharing it. I specifically shared it. That is bullshit of the highest order. That is absolute crap.
Start blaming someone else.
No. So here's Apple. Pretty much about the most bullish chart in the most stable bullish chart in history, I would say. In terms of the fact that it is literally just up and to the right on this scale from back in 2000, and well, it carries on further. I could go onto the monthly, and yeah, it's since the start of this millennium, it has been in up only mode. And despite that, here are the crashes top to bottom: 43%, 58%, 45%, 32, 39, 35, and 31. That's just from the global financial crisis onwards. And that's the biggest, most bullish, most stable company in the world. A company that consistently just has, even if it doesn't beat its revenues, it just consistently has high revenues. It has a loyal fan base, a huge number of developers. It's a behemoth in every single way. It still drops 30, 40, 50% if conditions deem it necessary. Bitcoin is traded 24/7, 365 in multiple time zones, simultaneously, with an absolutely minute fraction of the tradable supply that something like Apple has. So if this can do 30, 40, 50% swings, we shouldn't be surprised if Bitcoin does similar. And we should expect consistently every few years big drawdowns in Bitcoin. And how big the drawdown is, well, it depends on how big the bull market was. I maintain that 2021 was pretty disappointing for Bitcoin. I had thought it was going to go higher, and a lot of altcoins stole the show. The likes of bloody Shiba Inu and Doge took, it took a lot of billions of dollars that should have gone into Bitcoin, and it made a few people very rich, and it made a lot of children cry. So but now we're seeing a maturation of the market. Oh no, wait, no. Now we have daily Sol meme coins, and I've recently I'm not proud and I'm not ashamed at the same time to say I've started to buy some Solana meme coins.
Pick a side, bro.
No. Well, it is I'm sick of 100 IQ trading. It's time to do a bit of 50 IQ. I bought $1.50 of something. I was I think the fourth holder of it, and I pushed the price up 40%. And I own like
with
10%.
$1.50.
Yes, it had a $22 fully diluted market cap.
Oh my god! Wow.
It now has $1,000 fully diluted market cap. Hey, do you all want to help pump my my rug pull shitcoin?
$1.50, and you pushed 40%. Don't even show it to people, man. They're gonna get wrecked.
Thing is, no, that's the thing. It's definitely a scam. Like, I even know it's a scam because when you go and try and trade it, it gave me 2 warnings, and it was like, warning, the token holder can mint new tokens at any time, and another warning, the token holder can freeze accounts at any time.
What?
So
Come on.
So the mint one's gone away. But well, this is the thing is, I looked at it, and because I got in at $22 market cap, I looked at it and went, okay, yeah, he's gonna rug, but he's not gonna rug me. I'm in too cheap. He can't rug me without rugging himself. So I was like, the only thing he can do is lock me out of the wallet. So I just made a couple of very similar small buys on some other different wallets. So ultimately, yeah, it was like a few dollars, and it's fun. It's a complete scam. So yeah, so on the Instagram page, he'd put this. It was from a day one posting this meme coin until it hits $1 billion market cap, and I'm like, ha, you're gonna rug at 500k, you bastard. But I just answered on the Instagram post, and I was like, how come you've still got the ability to freeze wallets enabled? Could you explain to me why that's not a red flag, please? And they blocked me.
Oh my god. Yeah, so everybody,
don't do it. It's stupid.
Don't mess around with things. Stuff.
Yeah, but at the same time, my $1.50 is 500x up. In theory. In practice, it's not, because there is still only $100 of liquidity, and if you try to actually take any profit, you just drain the wallet. So,
well, you'd get $100.
It's got half a Solana in it, so I could dump everything I got and get half a Solana out.
So that means you would rug the rugger?
No, because they've still got a big chunk of the supply. So all they would do is they would just add the liquidity back in again.
Boo.
They just add like another $10 of Solana.
Yes, I rugged somebody
again.
for half a Solana.
Yeah, exactly.
Epic win. Yeah, that sounds like a really serious project. What's the use case?
Get oil out of America.
Yay! All right,
with
let's...
with a video of lots of military stuff blowing things up.
Yes, we have a question from Golden Goose. Yes.
No, you're right on time. Bye.
Yeah, we're gonna leave now. We're done for the day, guys. Thanks for popping in. Hopefully you got some of your questions answered that you had in your head, because you didn't ask many. And we'll see you in Discord as usual. You know the deal. Follow this, that, like, cool stuff.
Cool stuff.
And we'll see you in Discord in 2.5 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.